Bolognese, Italian staple, classic sauce that you need to learn how to make. It is so easy, it's so packed with flavor. It's a great thing to jar, a great thing to freeze, so simple. I learned how to make this sauce in Italy, all right? I was taught by some serious Italian chefs in Italy how to make this sauce. I have a couple different tricks and tips to help sort of develop more flavor than maybe the way that you were taught how to make it. Pay attention and you're gonna learn. You need ground meat. I'm using ground pork and ground beef. You also want something that has some fat and has some depth and flavor, okay? I got some fresh pigtails from the butcher shop this morning. They're full of bone, they're full of fat, they're full of flavor. I'm gonna basically start this process by roasting those, taking them out of the pan as sort of my first step in developing flavor. That's gonna render out some fat, okay, some pork fat, some pork flavor, and then I'm gonna basically, that's gonna be my start. I'm gonna put everything else in and I'm gonna put that back in and use that to just cook low and slow. Okay, the other thing about making bolognese as opposed to other tomato sauces is you kind of want some stock, something brown, something deep, something with depth and flavor like veal stock, beef stock, something that's not just tomato the whole way. Let's get started, okay? I'm gonna start by roasting off these pig's tails. Get my cast iron pan on here, all right? A little bit of olive oil in, okay? Get these tails in. Not too hot, medium to high. Some salt on them. While that's going, I'm gonna start my vegetables, okay? So, what's gonna be a little bit different with how I do my vegetables is I'm gonna grate them with a box grater, get them nice and fine, all right? So all of that flavor is gonna come out of them, you know, a lot more than if you were to just dice them, all right? It's a great way of keeping a lot of flavor. Carrot tops you don't need, unless you wanna eat them. Wash your carrots. Peel the carrots. Wash celery. If you don't have pig's tails or pig's feet or anything like that, neck bones, you know, anything, if you don't have any nice bits of braising pork like that with fat and with bone, another good thing to use is like salt pork, guanciale, pancetta. Just a little bit more, you know, deep in flavor, I would say. Start it with that. Start developing flavor at the beginning. Onion. Grater. Little box underneath. Big attachment. Color is flavor, all right? Don't be scared of getting some color on that meat. Classic mirepoix, celery, onion, carrot. Never hurt nobody. Don't be shy. Get involved, make a mess, and enjoy yourself. Our meat is getting there. Roasting, getting a little bit darker, building more flavor. A little bit of the fat from the pork is rendering out, okay, which is great, so that's tasty. And we're just gonna let it keep going a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna get my garlic ready. Garlic, you just want maybe like, you know, 3 cloves. Just knock that garlic down nice and small. Don't think about it too much, just cut it. Little tip, if your garlic's jumping around on you a lot on the board, put a little bit of salt on it, and it'll just start breaking the garlic down, taking out some of the moisture from it, and it'll keep it all sort of intact, a little bit cleaner. So, pork's there, okay? Pork out of the pan. Look at that. Okay, golden brown, delicious, amazing, beautiful. A lot of flavor happening. Now I have a pan that has some pork fat in it, a little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna put a little bit of bone marrow fat, just because I have it in the fridge and it's delicious. All right, so I'm gonna put a spoon of that in there, and I'm gonna start my vegetable situation, okay? Turn it down a little bit, don't wanna burn it. Anchovies. Okay, delicious. Get a couple of them in there. That's gonna really start the party. It's gonna really start this deep depth of flavor. Your bolognese isn't gonna taste like fish. Get it out of your head that anchovy is gonna make everything taste like fish. You put the right amount in, and that's not actually the case. Okay, it just adds this depth of flavor, all right? So you wanna start with the anchovy and start breaking them up a little bit. Now, you wanna go in with your vegetables, your grated vegetables. Now you're sweating the vegetables down. Why? Well, the vegetables are filled with liquid. They're filled with water, okay? Look at all the steam coming off of the pan. Remember, always season in stages, okay? Basically, you're extracting the water out of the vegetable, and so what's gonna happen is the flavor of the vegetable is gonna be more intense, which is what you want, because you want this delicious, deep, roasted bolognese sauce, right? Still needs to keep going. So when you first put them in, you start giving it heat and a little bit of salt, they're almost gonna seem like they're simmering in liquid, like poaching almost. And then as it goes, the sound is gonna change in the pan, the humidity is gonna leave, and they're gonna almost start roasting and frying to the point where they're gonna start taking on color, all right? And I'm almost there. And at that stage is when you wanna put the tomato puree in. Okay, so I have this little can of tomato paste, tomato puree, and put that in, and as soon as that goes in, that needs to get roasted and cooked. You don't really wanna have that raw tomato puree flavor in that finished product. You want it to be cooked down, all right? Scraping it off the bottom of the pan constantly, developing even more flavor, all right? Very important. All right, now we're at the stage where they're starting to fry, okay? They're starting to almost sear, you can hear it, all right? A little bit less steam coming out, okay? Now, tomato puree, you just pop that in there. All of it. Now be careful with this. It's really sweet, really reduced tomato, so it's gonna stick and it's gonna burn quickly, but you need to cook it. So now this is a sort of a stage where you're roasting it. Take a wooden spoon, scrape the bottom, and cook it down, all right? This you want to cook for at least 5 minutes. Stand over top of it the whole time. Don't walk away from it. Really careful with that burning. You're gonna smell it, okay? Turn your pan down a little bit if it starts to burn. Look at that. That right there is super tasty Italian condiment. And get this out. Keep that pan the way it is, it's fine. Get some more fat in there. Like I said, I'm using bone marrow. You don't have to use bone marrow. You can use pork fat, you know, you can use tallow, you can use olive oil. I just have bone marrow. And bone marrow is delicious and healthy, so that's why I'm using it. Okay, now we're gonna go in with our minced pork and minced beef, okay? Break it up, put it in. We got our minced pork, minced beef in there, browning. Same idea with the vegetables. You're gonna put it into a hot pan, and then the heat's gonna start to draw out the moisture in the meat, and it's gonna almost start bubbling and boiling. That's fine. Keep it on, keep it hot, keep stirring it, and listen to the sound change. The reason why you take out the other stuff, tomato and the vegetables, is because you want to get nice color. You want to basically have all that room in the pan, all that browning, this nice heavy cast iron pan, to brown that meat, to cook that meat, and you know, give it some color, give it some depth and flavor. All right, don't forget to season the meat, okay? Like I said, season in every stage. Every stage you're putting a pinch of salt in. At the end, you're gonna have a lot more round, depth layer of flavor, really. You need ground meat for bolognese. You're not making ragu, you're making bolognese. Bolognese is ground meat, okay? I'm putting the pig's tails in there just for a little extra boost of flavor, all right? Just to like pick it up a little bit. Okay, open your cans of tomato. You're gonna have crushed tomatoes, all right? You can buy it. There's nice Italian brands you can buy. You hear it. The meat is now starting to fry. It's gone from simmering, bubbling, blah, 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 to loud, okay? That means that the moisture is leaving, it's gone. Let it go, don't be shy. Tomato back in. That involved. See that? There's your meat that's been roasting in the pan, your vegetables and your tomato puree. Now it's all together, all right? So you sort of have this like red, vegetable-y, meaty concoction. Exactly where we want it. A little bit more color, let it go. Don't be shy. A little more color. Now, I'm gonna put some red wine, okay? Bay leaves in. Now a bit of red wine. Little, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Nice to see you. Stir it up. Josh, hit me up. We're gonna do a sponsorship. Cooking out the wine. Get it in there. Cook it for, you know, a minute, 2 minutes. You could smell it. You could smell the alcohol in the pan. You know, cook it out till it doesn't smell like, you know, raw alcohol anymore. It starts to smell more savory. It smells like the onions, the roasted meat, the vegetables. I have beef stock on the stove behind me boiling. So I'm gonna put my crushed tomatoes in. I'm gonna put these back in now, actually. We're gonna pick these out when it's done. We're not gonna really leave them in the sauce. They're just there to develop just a bit more flavor, depth and flavor, all right? Let them go. Sauce, pureed tomatoes. 2, classic trick. Take some water, take some stock. I'm using stock because I'm using it anyway. Make sure you get all that tomato in there, all right? Don't ever let nonna see you throwing the cans of tomatoes out without getting all that extra in there. Look at that, beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. That's gonna now cook just like that, 2.5, 3 hours. Really gonna just develop flavor. Go and cook and stew and reduce, and that pork's gonna break down and everything's just gonna marry together. It's gonna be beautiful. Right now it's a little bit thick. I'm worried that it's gonna burn. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of water. I'm gonna put it on low. Before you put it on low, make sure it comes to the temperature, okay? You just put this, room temperature tomato puree in there. The stock was hot, but just make sure it comes up and starts to boil. So actually kind of nurse it for a minute and make sure that it comes up to the temperature that you want it, and then turn it down. If you turn it on low right now, before it's hot, it's gonna take forever to come up to the temperature that you want it. You wanna make it hot and then turn it down. Very important step. Okay, everybody, here is the Bolognese sauce. Now it's cooked for about 3 hours. It's done cooking. Now we need to season it. What I like to season my Bolognese with at the end is fresh basil, okay, that I'm gonna put in now and just sort of let all of that fresh aromatic flavor from the basil finish while it cools down. All that basil is gonna come into it. You put basil at the beginning, it kind of dies. You put it in now when it's hot still, it's just gonna infuse basically, and you're gonna keep that nice basil flavor. We're gonna pick it out after, okay? Season it, a little bit more salt at the end. You season it every step of the way. So taste it. It might need it, it might not. This does. So I'm gonna put a tiny bit of salt. Okay, the last thing I like to put is vinegar. I like to use red wine vinegar. This happens to need a little bit of sweetness. The tomatoes themselves weren't that sweet. I'm gonna add balsamic vinegar instead, because it's gonna give the acidity that I want, but it's also gonna give a bit of sweetness. I'd rather add balsamic vinegar than sugar. Okay, it's gonna just add more depth of flavor. Let's do that. Let's give it a little bit of balsamico di Modena and just give it a stir. Now, before you pack that away, let all this stuff infuse in the sauce. Then, once it's done, pick everything out. Pick the tails out. That meat is beautiful. And then there you have Bolognese sauce in all of its glory. It's awesome. Now, if you have Parmesan rind in the fridge, you want to use Parmesan rind, you do that as well. That's good. Benissimo. Let's cook some pasta. Here's the pasta that I have. If you want the recipe to this pasta, check the link in the description because there's a pasta video that I did. Let's cook this pasta. Right there, that's a bowl of pasta. So that's it, guys. That's pasta bolognese. So simple, so easy. Eat it just like that. Put some of your favorite chili peppers on it if you want. I love eating everything with a little bit of spice. Amazing.